Alrighty, so today I want to talk about the top 10 teams within Dokkan Battle right now. The worldwide download celebration just wrapped up over here on Global and JP Dokkan, so we are now in the official post-sync world, or the start of the sync world. So, like, the teams are going to be very similar between both of the versions. Now, in this video, I'm going to be evaluating one team that has a JP exclusive unit that is a major release, and that is going to be just about it. And keep in mind, I really could not order these like I was trying to as I was looking through teams. And it's also very tricky to rank these categories and determine what is a good team, because a lot of these categories just kind of fit in towards a like multiple setup sort of thing, right? Where Super Saiyans and Connected Hope and Power of Wishes, they are not, it's they're like the trio leader skill, right? They all kind of like tie and blend together for like 3 teams. So it's not like you know, one category is specifically above the rest of them in terms of like strength, right? Because you are utilizing leader skills to have multiple categories. So it's like, this is not going to be ranking them on like a basis of like each of them have a carnival 200%, right? So please keep that in mind as this video goes on, that these are just 10 of the best teams in the game right now. If you had to give me like a number one like category, I'd still probably say it's either Super Saiyans or superheroes right now, or just movie bosses. So keep that in mind. I'd say those 3 are like the best 3 teams in the game to me. And yeah, with all that being said, let's go ahead and get started with the first category on the list. Again, keep in mind, these are not in order. So the first team I have on here, I am using the Global Edition. This is going to be Universal Survival Saga, and this is going to include AGL Jiren as a leader. So, or UI Goku if you want to use him. This team has a lot of good things going for it, right? We have Jiren, we have Tech UI Goku, AGL UI Goku, and Evolution Blue Vegeta. Evo Ken, we have Dispo. He is very good. I know that sounds like crazy, but he is really good, right? LR17 and Golden Frieza, LR Android 17. More on this character later because you're going to run them on a different setup. 17 and 18, right? Kefla's EZA is down here somewhere. Where are you at? Where are you at? Right here. We have the Kale and Caulifla sub EZAs. We've got Topo up here. He's a little more special pose restricted, unfortunately, but there are some, you know, Tournament of Power characters that do fit on this special pose category that would fit his leader skill, right? So that is kind of a team that you can run, but all in all, I think the quality of the Universal Survival Saga team is still very good post-worldwide. I don't believe it is the best team in the game, but I do believe it is a very good team in the game right now. So that is where I have this this setup right here, Universal Survival Saga. This is a very, very good team. So let's move on to the obvious one, superheroes. I don't want to talk about this one too long because basically every tier list is going to have it. It's Double Beast, right? UI, Evolution Blue Vegeta, Evo Ken, Tech UI, Gogeta, Piccolo. Sometimes you're going to throw somebody else in there like a TUR, or you're going to run a character from Beast's rest of the leader skill with, I believe it's what, Miraculous Awakening and Bond Master and Disciple. So that is something that you can set up. You run like AGL Broly in that spot. You run Future Gohan in that spot, just depending on the event, right? That's sort of how I feel about this team right now. One of the best teams in the game. It's probably been, I want to say like overall replaced, but it is very tough, right? This team still is easy mode. So not really much has changed in terms of how good they are. I just think there's more competition now, and that is what we're going to elaborate on a little bit more as we move on to this into the list. So the next 2 are going to tie together very well, and that is going to be the Movie Bosses team. Now, before we went into the worldwide download celebration, this was nowhere near as good of a team as it is now, but they did a bang-up job at making this team really, really fun to use, and also very, very good overall. Now, the first character that we have to talk about is obviously Tech LR Broly, one of the headliners for the worldwide download celebration. This is one of, if not the, like it's one of the best extreme class units in the game. Saying the is a little bit, it might be aggressive, but when you look at the overall like top of the, you know, top tier lineup, I don't know why I can't talk. For this setup, it's absolutely wild, right? We have all 3 of the worldwide download celebration LRs right here where my cursor is. We have Cell Max, we have AGL Full Power Broly, we have Janemba, we have Turles, we have LR Tech Broly's EZA, and then we go down here, we have Int Broly's EZA, who in a vacuum can look okay. He's not the best, unfortunately. And then we have STR Super EZA Broly. Now, that setup is a murderer's row. That is a really, really good start for a team, right? Like, this team is just doing everything that you need it to do, and I think it's just overall really quality, right? This team has offense, it has defense, it has utility now, especially with this Int Broly, like having access to that revive, and a character like Janemba or Turles can help you sort of replace the Broly trio, who can be very fraudulent at times when they don't dodge or if you can't get their orbs, right? Because 7 orbs is not always just a guarantee. Like, let's be honest, right? Harudagar, and I forgot to mention him as well. He can work in certain situations, right? So this is a really, really, really good team that has really, really nice synergy that you can run a multitude of ways. You know, you can go for more a defensive focused build. You can go more offensive focus with a character like Tech EZA LR Broly, where you get to turn 4, you get like a giga active skill. You know, you're doing 50 to 60 million, you know, closer to like the 80 to 90 million range if you're using like mega support or items or something like that. Like, this character, he's doing a lot, right? Like, it is a very, very good batch of units here. And now movie bosses is like, this is good because Extreme Class, we always talk about how bad Extreme Class is, how shafted Extreme Class gets usually during these celebrations, and that is not the case here for the movie bosses team during this worldwide download celebration. I'm a really big fan of how they did this, and now this team is actually feeling pretty relevant. And then if we want to look on the EZA front, I think Tech Janemba's EZA is eminent here, and STR Bojack is probably coming up soon as well. So there's just going to be more options in the future. So let's go ahead and move on to the team that basically just blends in the same way, and it's Uncontrollable Power. This is basically the same core, 5, 6. It's literally the same team as movie bosses, but you also get access to, where is he? Mr. Kid Buu. Where art thou? Right here. You just get Kid Buu, really. That's kind of like why I like this team, because it's basically the same thing. You get Fat Buu, I guess, right? Like, you just get like a couple different options, but all in all, I think it's basically the same team, so I don't want to talk about it too much. It's just like, do you want to run 2 of Broly, this Broly, or do you want to run 2 of that Broly, right? Like, that's basically what it comes down to. So let's go ahead and move on. Coming in at the next spot, I have Kamehameha. Now, this team, you know, we talked about it, we danced around it for a long time, but it did finally get its meta-relevant leader, a 200% lead for Carnival Gohan. Now, I would say that the one thing that this team does not have the best of in terms of like consistency is slot 1 characters, but what it makes up for in that is just very overwhelming power, right? We have this Gohan, who again can be dodgy turn 1, and it's the same thing with the trio, right? They're not perfect, but to counter that, this is a slot 1 character. Tech UI Goku, you can put him in slot 1, he's going to be fine. After you fuse, this is a slot 1 character. This is a slot 1 character, right? So Kamehameha, in addition to having all of these characters, right, we are just being able to run like a solid build here, where we have 2 of these Gohans, we have the Super Saiyan Trio, we have Tech UI Goku, we have AGL UI Goku, we could potentially run Evo Ken if we need to, we have Tech Gogeta, who we can run alongside this version of Super Vegito right down here. We go to the TURs. If you want to go more Majin Buu Saga focused, we can bring AGL Super Saiyan 3 Angel Goku. We have God Goku for certain situations, right? If you want to run like a Buu rotation for some reason, you can run Buuhan with Fat Buu. That could work out fine too. And Kamehameha, I think, is really well-rounded. And the beauty of this team is it's very likely that at least 2 of the units from the 10th anniversary probably wind up on this team as well. And right off the bat, they are just going to have that pure 200%, right, with this Gohan. So that is a really good start for this team. And if you really want to run this, I think this is definitely one of the best teams in the game. And the setup that they have is very nice. So the one drawback I will say, though, is with the trio support, you're not going to be able to get it as often because the movie heroes front is not always going to be exactly what you need it to be, because there probably will be a situation where you run into the trio on the rotation with both of the UIs, and then that they do lose a couple of the buffs from not having the movie heroes, right? So do keep that in mind. That can potentially happen with this character, but most of the time it's going to work out fine. I think the Kamehameha team is really good. So let's go ahead and move on to another team that got a huge glow up during the worldwide download celebration, and that is going to be Super Saiyans. Now, Super Saiyans, you know, I've kind of been yapping a little bit here, so we'll get a bit of a move on. But the trio, we obviously know how good the trio are at this point. You know, people are arguing them for number 1. And we also have this Tech Vegeta, 2 really good characters. But the worldwide download celebration introduced a couple things to the fold, right? We now have these 2 characters, right, who you run with Gogeta, and then we have Tech Gogeta, who's now on this team. You could run potentially STR Vegito. We have Future Gohan, who works out really well, right? This Tech Vegito we talked about earlier. We have God Goku for certain situations. The Int Super Saiyan trio is kind of like all the way back. This AGL duo saw a bit of a glow up afterwards, right? So The Super Saiyans team really does kind of blend into a Movie Heroes sort of setup, but again, it does include characters like Tech Vegeta, AGL Broly, Tech Broly, right? Like the Go Bros at certain times. This Trunks works out nice for being a free-to-play unit, right? So, there's also somebody I'm missing down here. It's the Brats, right? That's what they call them. Goten and Trunks, and then these two sub-EZAs are very good as well, but you're probably better off just running them on Kamehameha. But the Super Saiyans team saw a massive glow up. Now, the Movie Heroes team. The only issue with this team is that you don't really want to run two of any of the leaders, right? Two Gogetas is fine, but it's not my first choice. But again, the roster for this is just stupid, right? These Gohan, both of the Gohans, we have the trio, Gogeta, Orange Piccolo, Tech Gogeta, then we kind of come down to some of the TURs, right? I mentioned this Trunks earlier, I mentioned God Goku, and it's very LR heavy right now, but it is still a solid team. So, Movie Heroes, just the presence of Beast Gohan and this character and this Gohan in the trio, basically like 3 of the 3 best units in the game, being able to be ran on one team, also alongside Tech Gogeta, who's now in that conversation as well. I think it's a very, very good squad. So, moving on, we have Reps of U7, basically the same thing that I said about the Universal Survival Saga. This is just a team where you don't run Jiren or Topo or Kale or Caulifla or Kefla, right? It's just you go pure Reps of U7, which ties into Universal Survival Saga. Don't need to talk about it too much. UI Goku's domain is silly, and that's basically it. So, the last 2 teams on the list, I'd say probably are the worst of the bunch, but the first one is going to be Majin Buu Saga. This Gohan being on here is nice. But kind of like the core for this, I think right now, is Super Saiyan 3 Goku, STR Vegito. You run this version of Gohan. You probably run Tech Ultimate Gohan, wherever he is at, his beautiful self. Where is he? There he is, right? So that's 4 of the characters right there, right? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I guess this version of Gohan you could potentially also run with Tech Ultimate Gohan, right? So that's going to be 5 characters right there. And then with the last spot, you could run like Super EZA Gotenks. You could run Int Gotenks. I think this team is really good still. And then if you want to run like an extreme class version of it, which is a little bit easier to set up, you know, you have Int Fat Buu. We have Buu Tanks. There's this version of Tech Evil Buu right down here. We have Physical Kid Buu's Super EZA. We have Mr. Buu, who is the GOAT. This version of Buu is not horrible. I'm trying to remember. There's like, it's maybe it's because it's Majin Power. But, like, what you could potentially do, right, is you run that whole setup and you just bring, like, it's like Who Invited My Man, and you just bring Goku, right, because of the Majin Buu Saga restriction. You could just still get his damage reduction and he'll be fine, even though it's more of an extreme class setup. And this team works out really well. So, I think the Majin Power category is pretty well-rounded still. I don't think it's on its, like, in its heyday anymore. Like, I definitely say this is on the lower end of the spectrum in terms of like the best teams in the game, but I still think it is a very, very good team. So I wanted to make sure that it got some flowers because I remember I did this last time and everyone's like, where's Majin Buu Saga? So just wanted to make sure we get this in there. Okay, so I had to make a quick cut. I had a team on here where I looked at it and I'm like, no, this team is not top 10. So the last team I have on here is a well-rounded team that I always like to kind of toss in these at the end just because of how well-rounded it is, and that is going to be Transformation Boost. Now, we have both of the new Brolys, AGL Broly, Tech UI Goku. We have Gogeta, right? Orange Piccolo could fit on this team, but it's a little bit tricky because you want some Bond Master and Disciple on that setup, so you probably don't want to run him, right? Buhan is around here. Tech Broly is around here. You can definitely run him on this squad, right? This Vegeta right down here is on the squad. God Goku, Gotenks, Kefla. You don't really want to run Kefla, though, but I'm trying to see if he's down here at the bottom. Yeah, Physical EZA, Super EZA, Kid Buu, Full Power Freeze is going to be on this setup. So Transformation Boost is going to come in the last spot. So there we have it, 10 of the best teams in the game right now. If I missed one, my bad. I tried to look through it. I was scrolling at the list, and I was like, here's 10 of the teams that I like right now. I'm not going to rank them because I think it's just silly right now because of just how different the game is in terms of like setups that you can build. So we have Transformation Boost, Universal Survival Saga, Superheroes, Movie Bosses, Uncontrollable Power, Kamehameha, Super Saiyans, Movie Heroes, U7 Reps, and Buu Saga. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Don't forget to leave a like if you did enjoy, subscribe if you are new, and I'll see you all in the next one.